This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 31. Well, I did it. I finally finished the pile of movies that have all come in at the one time from the Skokie Public Library's Bookmobile, and they gave me about 35 to 45, maybe 50. I finally finished all of them in terms of, these are some of the final ones. So the first one that I watched was Cats. I watched it because it's something that everybody goes, great musical, great play, blah, 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 blah. Look at all the big-time actors like Corden and Dench and Ian McClellan and Rebel Wilson, Idris Elba, and singers like Hudson Drillo and Taylor Swift. Ooh. And all the other people that you may have noticed in there from other things. Like I saw a guy from Supergirl. Okay, cool. It was, almost 2 hours, so that is a negative. And of course, it's a musical, so it's all singing and dancing and everything's going on. But, it's one of those things you gotta watch just to watch it. You gotta sit through it and just experience it. Wasn't the best experience, but it's something you just gotta experience. There's certain movies you just have to watch, even if they're not good. I don't know why Idris Elba decided to be in this movie, or even Sir Ian McClellan or James Judi Dench, but it's like, it was alright. Just too long. The next movie I watched was another movie that happened to be 2 hours. This is a comedy. It was a very boring 2 hour plus drama with Anna Taylor-Joy and some other people you may have heard of in this movie, and it's just like, it's really silly because it's like her and this guy are friends, but does she have a relationship with him? Another guy's interested in her. Then another guy, and all these other guys then marry other people. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, yeah, don't waste your time watching this movie. I don't know why I did. It was just towards the end. That's why it was at the end of my pile, just movies that were left to watch. But, yeah, don't watch Emma. The next movie I watched was because on Tuesday I had surgery. And I want to watch something that I was going to enjoy, but maybe something I've seen. And because we unfortunately lost Chadwick Boseman, so I said, I'm going to rewatch Black Panther. And again, there were scenes that I forgot that happened, things that I forgot to happen because it's been a while. But again, it showed me how great of a movie it was. And that I'm really sad there won't be a second one or a third one like the other Marvel Avengers characters had. But again, if you've never watched Black Panther, you should go watch Black Panther. Amazing movie. Then the next movie I watched was The Current War. And you're like, okay, cool. You got Benedict Cumberbatch, who's British, playing, Thomas Edison. Then you got his competitor, Michael Shannon, who's, Zod. So you got Doctor Strange and Zod. Then you got Nicholas Hoult, Elon Musk, playing like an apprentice of the guy. I mean, not Elon Musk, excuse me. Nikola Tesla. I'm sorry, because of Tesla cars and Elon Musk. Nikola Tesla. And Nicholas Hoult, everybody knows him for playing Beast in the X-Men prequels. It seems like he likes playing historical British people or Shakespearean people and all these like older things. He works for him, then he leaves and try to work to Michael Shannon's character, and then Tom Holland, everybody knows him as Spider-Man recently. He's playing, Benedict Cumberbatch apprentice, things like that. So you get yourself 3 Marvel characters and 1 DC character in this movie, all about, who's going to be the first to get like the big contract for lighting up the whole entire world, not just, small areas in certain places and times and other inventions. But yeah, and it was, an hour and 40-something minutes. It wasn't that long. It was pretty interesting because it was like a biopic based on a true story, and it was great acting with a lot of actors So definitely watch The Current War if you're interested in historical events. Then I watched How to Build a Girl with Beanie Feldstein. And you know what? It's based off a book. Emma Thompson's in there briefly. Chris O'Dowd's in there briefly. But outside of that, you're like, okay. So she's like a nerdy girl, and she wants to be a writer. She reinvents herself, puts a fake persona on that becomes her life. It affects her relationships with her family and other things in life. And I'm like, okay, let's have a movie about a 16-year-old where she drinks, smokes cigarettes, has sex all the time. It's just like, yeah, it's really realistic that a 16-year-old girl is going to have all this stuff happen to her. Her parents going to be okay with it. The people making the movie think, yeah, it's a good message that even though it's a coming-of-age story, it'd be better if she was like 17 or 18 years old, not 16. Plus, Beanie Feldstein's a Jewish American. She's not a British girl, so her fake British accent was pretty darn stupid. You could have found plenty of British actresses if you're going to make the character British. And that sort of thing. Now, obviously, I do like the idea she comes like a movie critic and writes about musicians, and she's so positive about them. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't work, so you got to be a jerk. As she realizes being the jerk wasn't a good thing, but it helped her, blah, 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 blah. And, being an hour and 40-something minutes, it wasn't that long. And Beanie Feldstein really sold the role, but, like, British accent, really not the type of behavior you want to condone for a 16-year-old in a movie. Like, I really thought, yeah, you know what? Why don't make the character 17 about to be 18 years old? Like, she's going to be a legal adult. I don't know how the laws are in England, but yeah, promoting, 16-year-olds doing drugs, alcohol, and sex. That's really, really important. Then I watched the last and final movie from the original pile that I got, a DC Lego movie, Shazam, Magic, and Monsters. And if you've been watching those Lego movie, they kind of teased Billy Batston's character in the last Lego DC movie. And this one, of course, like all the Justice League movies, you got your Superman, your Batman, you got your Wonder Woman, you got your Flash. Now, I feel like it's Wally West Flash because the whole point of the movie is Captain Marvel's villains, Black Adam, Mr. Mind. They're all after him. Mr. Mind is controlling other villains. And I was like, cool. Some villains I haven't seen in a while in DC that decided to pick up. Like, I thought it was Dragon, I thought it was Killer Croc, and I thought it was, like, Gentleman Ghost, but there was completely different other characters. Man-Bat was in there, and they got to obviously, Mr. Mind turns them into kids, and they're like, they want him to join the Justice League, but he's got to show his identity to everybody, and they turn into kids, and Flash like, I don't feel different, blah, blah, blah. Batman and him really connect. They save the day, and of course, nobody really dies in the movie, so of course, you think somebody's gone, but they're not. It was a typical building things with Lego. It's a very good age-appropriate movie, good lessons, hour, 20 minutes or less. The only thing is, if you're going to make this Justice League movie and you're going to pick random Justice League characters, why pick Jessica Cruz, the Green Lantern? I'm like, there's Hal Jordan, there's Kyle Rayner, there's Alan Scott, there's Guy Gardner, and there's Jon Stewart. There's plenty of those Green Lanterns that you could choose before you go all the way to the New 52 character. That's just my sort of thing. And the other thing is Billy Batson having a real biological sister named Mary. Now, Mary is a foster sister from a foster home that he marries, like he dates. Like, that's not really believable. They showed him using his powers of Zeus and all this other stuff. It was pretty cool. As I said, the villains they showed in here, Mr. Mind, Black Adam, it was pretty nice. But yeah, there's just some discrepancies, and I'm just like choosing of which superheroes. But yeah, overall, pretty good voice cast. Sean Astin voicing him, not a bad, pretty good. I would watch if you have a kid. Then I watched Charlie's Angels. Now, as a kid, I watched all the old TV shows growing up. Now, I wasn't watching every episode. I didn't watch the new TV show they had made like 8 years ago or 9 years ago. I don't remember watching the Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu. Is it Reese Witherspoon? I always mix Cameron Diaz and Reese Witherspoon and Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore's got the funny part. Lucy Liu does all the action. That sort of thing. Like, I think I may have seen him like, okay, it was okay, but then they made a sequel. And of course, there wasn't a third movie because it just wasn't a great idea to remake a television show into a movie when there's no point. So if you got a reference point, you have 2 movies and a failed TV show before this one. In this one, you got Kristen Stewart. It's like the reason I watched this. I'm a huge fan of her, but she plays somebody who they pretty much stereotype that, hey, she might like women, she like black men. But let's really throw it into her liking women and driving motorcycles and driving bicycles, like the more masculine type of woman. Like, they really went on the cliches there. Then they got the British black girl, I've never heard of in my life, Ella Balinski. She's really super serious and, she doesn't really care, blah, blah, blah. And then they had Naomi Scott, who was the Pink Ranger in the new Power Ranger movie. That didn't really go well. And then she was Jasmine. So I was like, is she Middle Eastern or I don't know. But they made her like a scientist who were like an engineer or whatever. Well, she's the damsel she needs help. They kind of made it where there's not like a guy in charge, but there really is because you have different Bosleys in charge. And there's one Bosley in there who's an actor I've seen in plenty of shows. I think he's in The Walking Dead as well. They got, Patrick Stewart to be a Bosley. They got Elizabeth Banks, who, when you look into it, she was one of the lead writers, executive producers, helped financing and doing all the directing and all the casting and all the other stuff. Because, she continued the Pitch Perfect franchise. She was in the bad Power Rangers movie where, she shares a screen with some of these actors. And then they get all these cameos in the end, like Ronda Rousey, Danica Patrick, Laverne Cox, etc. That's cool. Let's show that. So it was an okay movie, but to make it almost 2 hours is kind of too long for an action comedy reboot, remake 1,000 times, cliches, blah, 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 cameos, that sort of thing. That if it was an hour and a half, 40 minutes, yeah, I'd be like, yes, go watch it. It's pretty good. But overall, it was okay. And the way that they had the end of the movie with more cameos of people training, like Kelly Steinfeld, Hay Reinhardt, and two Olympians that people have heard before. let's make a sequel where she's an agent and blah, blah, blah. It's nice that Elizabeth wants to take on some of these movies and do directing, producing, and getting all this off the ground and make more pro-female movies. But this one was like, you could have just left it in the archive. The failed TV show and the failed movie after the original attempt, just don't do it. Then I watched Richard Jewell, and Clint Eastwood made a very, very good movie. Kathy Bates and Sam Rockwell always are great character actors playing different roles, no matter how outrageous they are. Olivia Wilde and John Hamm did their jobs as big-time faces, and you know them from stuff. And Paul Walter Hauser probably should have won an Academy Award for his role as the security guard who wants to be law enforcement, finds a bomb, and the FBI thinks he's the one that did it. And the whole movie is Sam Rockwell, who was nice to him years ago, is defending him and helping him because they're just like railroading because they couldn't find another person who did it. They're just being lazy about it. And yeah, it was 2 hours, 10 minutes, but it's a biopic. It's telling a true story, so they got to get all the facts in there. And it was pretty good. The only interesting thing is, like, Sam Rockwell years ago in the movie, in the flashbacks, called them Radar. And I was like, funny, because that's my nickname, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, good job, Clint Eastwood. You made a very good movie. You did a very good job at casting. You told a very good story. It was behind the whole entire time, and it wasn't like a boring 2 hour plus movie. It was pretty interesting, moving on along as it goes, so you weren't like, okay, this is super boring. So yeah, go watch Richard Jewell. If you need to watch something for laughs and there's some action and you have time, Charlie's Angel. If you got a kid or you like DC movies or Lego movies, watch Shazam! Magic and Monster. How to Be a Girl was an odd, quirky, interesting movie. I would watch it if I were you. If you're interested in something a little out there, The Currency War is a great, biopic, historical film, and of course Black Panther, amazing movie. You used to watch that. I would stay away from Emma, and if you do want to watch Cats, because you're just interested to see how outrageous it is, yeah, watch Cats. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation, number 31. For On the Radar Entertainment Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.